Hello, everyone. You're listening to a Coffees with Toffees podcast. I will be your host, Flubb, and welcome to the Brewmaster's Draft, a show where we talk about Dota, drafting, and a little bit about beer. As always, I'm joined today with my ever-talented co-host, Kimbrell. Kimbrell, how you doing today, bud?
Doing well, doing well. Had a good weekend, so yeah, can't complain.
That's good. That's good. How's Dota been treating you? I know we've played a couple of games here and there, but not a lot. How's the solo going?
Solo, I've mainly been smurfing, trying to get my calibration. Yeah, I didn't think I would go very much higher than what I'm at right now. But I was like 600 points higher. I calibrated finally.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's not bad. The only thing that sucks about Smurfs is you have no friends on your Smurf. I mean, you can add friends, but then you're like, well, I want to play my party games on the other account, and I don't have any items, and it's just really boring. I don't know. But yeah, 600 points, so that kind of felt good. Yeah. But besides that, yeah, Dota's been going pretty okay. I think our team games were eventually slowly coming around to filling out each other and chemistry and stuff like that. So yeah. How about you?
Pretty good. I lost my 5K the other day, and I was like, all right, I just gotta focus and bring this back, and I got it back in like a couple hours. So it's not that bad. I'm just kind of like, I feel like I'm stuck at like 5-1, between 5, just barely reaching 5K, and then going like to 5-1. So you know, it's always the Dota struggle, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I've been really enjoying playing certain heroes lately. I've been really enjoying playing Monkey King, obviously, because of the whole DAC. And as we would have it, we actually are doing that today. So, you know, that's it's fortuitous. I'm gonna pick this stuff and make a draft around the stuff that I love playing lately. So, but yeah.
I just opened my beer and it just started spewing out. So I kind of went off camera to kind of drink it down a little bit.
I was wondering what was going on. I thought maybe it was your cat or dog or something was like freaking out, and I was like, oh, okay, well he's probably just dealing with something. But all right, so we're gonna do something a little bit different today, just so that you guys know, so you don't feel like I'm throwing a left curve at you. So generally we go into the beer, we talk about that, what we're drinking for the day, and we'll rate it at the end of the show. And we generally have a special draft that me or Kimbrell will make, and today's it's my turn. So we're still doing that. That's still an important part of the show. But we're also going to, since the DAC tournament has been happening, there's been a lot of really good drafting games. We are going to talk about a certain game in particular. I was actually not able to even talk about it because it happened last night, so I wasn't even able to talk about it on Flubb Date. So I'm really excited about this draft, and I'll break it down here in a bit. And yeah, but first off, most importantly, let's talk about beer. I mean, that's why everyone's here, right? You got to talk about what's getting you drunk nowadays. So, all right. So Kimbrell, what are you drinking on today?
Okay, so I picked this up. I like to pick up the, I guess, interesting looking beers if it's not one like last week, like Corona or something. So I picked up, it's called Turbo Dog. It's brewed by Abita Brewing Company out of Louisiana. Yeah, and it's a brown ale, so, but it looks kind of cool, I guess.
Nice.
But yeah, we'll rate it later. But anyway, what are you drinking?
All right, so I'm drinking. Once again, I got to thank Frozen, fan of ours, for sending me beers and giving me the hookup. But he sent me, along with the other one last week, he sent me this from Beachwood Brewing Company out in California. And this is called Foam Top. And it's a traditional American blonde ale brewed with American two-row malt and imported German hops. And it's like a very light beer. So it's supposed to have like a very clean finish. And it's actually a 3 reward medal winning beer. So I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, it was all in 2013 and 12, but That's pretty recent. That's like 3 years, 5 years old. So five to about 5 to 4. And I'm excited to give this a try. So, and it's not as bad as last week, as the alcohol content is only 5.5, whereas last week it was like 12. So I won't be feeling as happy by the end of the show probably, but that may be a good thing. Maybe more focused on this week. All right.
Yeah, man. That sounds good.
Yeah. It's it's Foam Top. I think I said the name right. Hopefully I did. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's what we're drinking on today, everyone, and we'll tell you at the end of the show whether we encourage it or not. But let's get to the draft. The draft today is actually designed around being able to first pick. So if you're not going to be able to first pick, then I would say don't do this. Don't try out this draft. There's a lot of holes in the algorithm then if you have to pick the two at the start. There's some possibility that you can have that, but it's generally not as fluid. So try to do this strat if you're going to be first picking. Otherwise, it's just going to probably fall by the wayside. Alright, so for this draft, as everyone can see, that's on the front page here, we have Monkey King as our first pick, Legion Commander as our second pick, Warlock as our third, Troll, and then Puck. There's a lot of synergy here, and I kind of want to go into it a little bit before I throw it over to Kimbrell and see what he has to say about this draft. I had this idea, and I was like, okay, I wanted to make Monkey King work. And Monkey King is just, it's a lot of fun generally right now, and if you watched the Flubb update last night, I generally have been trying to push the Monkey King and Shadow Shaman idea. So I wanted to stay away from it since last week we had Shadow Shaman, and I already gave you guys my feelings and love for Shadow Shaman mid in general. So I wanted to try to stick to a new idea and try to bring something new to the table. Monkey King is super popular right now for good reason. He has a lot of strength, he has a lot of potential to push people out of lane, or just very high ganking ability with a lot of sight in general. So having that Monkey King pick is just a first pick phase if you can get it. A lot of times he's banned first phase. So if you can get that Monkey King, you want to generally have that Monkey King first picked and get it straight up out of the way. Then you want the Legion Commander. Legion Commander has also been banned first phase. There's been a lot of second phase banned Legion Commanders, but some teams kind of value her very high, and for good reason. She has a lot of potential in getting rid of a lot of the problems that exist right now. Slaughter is one that I generally think of whenever I think of problems in this current meta. She can purge that off, that corrosive haze, that stun. She has a lot of availability to help out her other supports. And being able to do that with a Monkey King, being able to dive and then prevent a stun that just happened by healing him up, is a very strong combination in lane together if you need that potential to aggress on their safe lane. So she's not only that, but she also offers a kind of, you have to fight around her, right? So you jump in, you get the weak carry, or you grab a weak support, and then they all kind of collapse in that area. And if you all collapse in that area, you got that Monkey King stun with his Wukong command, just adding another level of damage, another level of just general peril that the Legion Commander kind of thrives around. You kind of want to like pull the area and pull the team in a fight controlled area that you want to control, not what your team wants to control. And that's kind of how that combination works right there. Warlock is a very similar idea, right? You want to try to pull people in and try to get them to fight on the Legion Commander. If you have someone like maybe a Life Stealer or something like that, you got that Golem to drop down, break through that invulnerability, or not invulnerability, but the magic immunity, kind of offer a lot to the game, give that AoE potential for someone who's very single target. You have that binding of all their allies, getting the damage pushed out to everyone, while Legion Commander is dueling someone, hopefully being able to blow them up in a few seconds. So not only you have that, you also have the AoE slow, and the AoE slow is incredibly strong. And the reason why I thought of this is actually if you play Crystal Maiden with the Monkey King, there's a lot of potential on slowing people and keeping them in Wukong while doing a lot of damage. Warlock, it doesn't do the damage, but the slow is a little bit stronger, especially if you can get it leveled up. So having that potential to just pull everyone in that team fight, get them controlled up, and keep them in that Wukong is just, it's incredible. Plus, he has a way to heal up the Monkey King whenever he's going in for dives. He has a way to heal up Legion Commander. It's just a double heal lineup is very strong, even though that the heals aren't the best. The Warlock is really good, but Legion Commander's heals, meh, in general. So you have these the kind of counteracting ability. One, he is a very strong heal or a very strong dot, and then the other one is kind of breaking the stuns, breaking them in the idea of another person's lineup. So you kind of have a try situation to kind of like control a team fight and use it where you want it to be. Then you bring in Troll Warlord. Troll Warlord is someone who's going to be pushing towers. He's got that potential of not only pushing towers, but he also helps everyone on this team, giving them faster attack speed. Monkey King is great with faster attack speed, and so is Legion Commander. So it adds that potential of just blowing people up, taking down towers any way that you want. There's a lot of potential out for that, and he's also a guy that can kind of stand back and like throw his little axes at a tower as a siege happens. So you have someone who's not only sieging towers with Troll Warlord, you also have the team fight potential and just the availability to when you win a team fight to be able to push down 2 towers. And then to kind of pull it all together, you bring in Puck, and Puck's availability is just she's a hell of a person to control down and keep locked down, especially with like the going into a Yule's build or something like that. She just offers an always stable CC that has potential for damage and very good in laning versus a lot of mids right now in the meta. So she has all of this potential, and even though Warlock's slow is really, really good, and it works really well with Monkey King, you can't generally have that really high in the very beginning. Because if you have the Warlock slow at a high level in the beginning, then a lot of times they'll pick a lot of BKB carriers or BKB generally people that like have it as a natural ability, whether it's Jug or Lifesteal or something like that. So you need something that exists that can like lock down a whole area of people that doesn't have to just that doesn't worry about the slow, because you want the binding to deal with those guys, because you can't take that off from BKB. And you need that Puck ult to just keep them there in the Wukong Ultimate. And, I mean, you don't want to stay in the Wukong Ultimate, but at the same time, you're going to get stunned if you leave out of it. So, a lot of potential, a lot of problems that kind of it can solve, as well as having that silence for Puck can kind of take out a lot of people like Weaver and these guys that generally have these ways of getting away with an ability that's very strong, and with the not much lockdown that is in the potential of the early game, Puck kind of like helps that out for the mid game potential of kind of getting these carries or these very hard cores to take out quickly and easily, and kind of like transfers you into a late game potential, which obviously Monkey King and Legion Commander are incredible late game potential right there. With a Puck 420 is just amazing. So, yeah, that's kind of the draft. What do you think, Kimbrell?
Yeah, I really like it, as per usual. I know you talked to me earlier today about just letting me know what it was ahead of time earlier this afternoon, and you mentioned silencer first, and I was kind of iffy about the silencer, but with the Puck, I like that a lot more. It still provides a silence for certain heroes, for certain possible counters, but then, like you were talking about, the Dream Coil into the Monkey King ult is just dumb. Like, this is really, like, it synergizes really well. Like you said, you can either choose to break the coil leash or just stay in the Wukong thing, and that's not something you want to do. So the only option you have is to get Monkey King out of his ult. So, but yeah, I really like it. I have some potential counters. Some of your bans were heroes that I was definitely thinking of, like Magnus. Coddle, and Silencer. Those three especially, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get these and this and that. And no, never mind. I'm not going to do that because those are banned. So, but I like those three a lot. I think yesterday on your show, you talked about Coddle, how he counters the Monkey King quite a bit with his vision and then knocking him out of his ult and then the mana drain and everything. That hero does really well against Monkey King. But yeah, I really like your bans. I like the order of your bans too, because I feel like the Magnus and Coddle are very popular picks right now. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Do you have anything that you think that there's any linchpin in this draft? Do you think that, like, okay, if you can't get this one hero, this draft is done, type thing? Like, what's the key components, or like what's something that you would feel like I couldn't do without? I mean, Monkey King's kind of like a given, right? Because the whole draft is kind of based around Wukong and making that work in a correct manner. But is there another hero that you're like, you know, maybe Troll or Legion? Do you have any like problems with that side of the draft, or what's the verdict on?
I mean, I don't think Legion's like absolutely necessary. I do like the single target lockdown that you have with her, and then with the puck, you're able to burst whoever you're dueling down. But I don't think she's absolutely necessary. I think there's other offlaners you can go with. Honestly, I think not any offlaner, but a lot of offlaners where you could go with the Centaur. You could go with, you could even go with the Abaddon. To be honest with you. There's a few. You can go with like Sand King or something like that if you want to be a little more team fighty, a little bit more magic damage. But yeah, I mean, the Monkey King is definitely necessary because obviously the draft is a little bit around his ult and just the crowd control that you have. And then besides that, I would say maybe you can replace Troll as well. Though I like the synergy with his ult and the Monkey King. I don't know how that works. That doesn't work low on Monkey King's ult, though, does it? Because, I mean, those aren't hero copies, right? Or are they? I don't know.
No, it doesn't work on those. Thank God.
Okay, that'd be really broken.
Yeah.
But it still synergizes well, especially with Monkey King. Like, the dude's just hitting you super fast with a super long range with this ridiculous nuke or however much damage he's putting out. I don't know. By the time he hits that fourth Jingu Mastery, it's like, and then he just add the Troll ult. Anyway, that's just sounds really dumb.
Yeah.
But I mean, looking at your bans, I think I'm kind of curious about the Alk and why you have that one in there. I'd just like to hear your opinion. I like the other ones. I'm just curious about the Alk.
Yeah. Okay. So real quick, I'll run through them since I mean we kind of talked about them a little bit, but I first ban Magnus and Coddle, and then go into Alk Silencer, and then Templar Assassin. So the idea of what I'm thinking here is, one, Alk, well, okay, first off, I'm going to just go with the first two. Magnus, his problem in general is that he kind of pulls everyone together, and you're kind of like sitting around this area trying to bait that from already happening, and Magnus kind of counters a counter on top of counters, and that's the thing about Dota, right now. It's like, oh god, they have the team fight. Oh wait, they have the team fight because they hit this 5-man RP, or they hit this black hole, or this potential of these big AoE team ultimates that just lock everyone down, keep the rhythm outside of it, and just kind of interrupt everything to a point of just shutting down what the team's supposed to do. And if I'm thinking about that, where I'm going around this team fight, Magnus is a definite counter, and it's picked up. It's a definite counter for a lot of reasons right now. Obviously, you got it goes through BKB. You have a lot of potential with melee carries right now, so there's a lot there in general. But Coddle, obviously, Coddle's the next ban because of Monkey King, and you kind of don't need to ban Coddle in some aspects because you have Legion Commander to kind of deal with him. You have a Purge ability that works, but I think that Coddle is just a good hero to ban in general, and there's a lot more that he does that just having the heal can be a bigger deal than his actual mana drain. And I need to be able to break high ground. That's more of the thing of what I'm worried about, is like, how am I going to break high ground with this team? Okay, Troll is going to do it, but Troll isn't going to build like a heart anytime to be able to just like tank all that damage constantly of like a tower and 5 people hitting him. So he just doesn't work that well with him. And I'm going through this draft and I was like, okay, so am I worried about illusions, right? So I was like thinking, Naga, is Naga going to be a problem? And I was like, okay, yeah, Naga could be a problem. There's some potential, but there's also a lot of AoE spells I can use from a long range, right? I can use Rock to stop his ultimate from getting out, from just TPing out and getting away. I can kind of use Puck as a similar situation. I can get BKB on some of these heroes and then lock her out of the problem. So like Naga's not that big of a problem, and I have the call from Legion Commander to be able to destroy illusions, right? Does so much damage to illusions, kind of pushes her potential out of the situation, and gives my team a much better, clearer way of kind of dealing with the problem. But Alk's potential in mid, like Alk versus a Puck is, I mean, it's not the best matchup, but it's not that bad either, especially if the Alk does okay. And Monkey King works decently versus him, but I don't have Ursa, and I can't really pick up the Ursa for the Troll Warlord. And I can't really like pick up these logical picks, right? Because I'm basing it around the Monkey King. So you can't pick up Timbersaw. Timbersaw kind of screws up Monkey King a lot of times. And you can't pick up the Ursa. So Alchemist is just a problem. And you also want to go for that late game potential with having the Monkey King Legion Commander and 420 Puck. Also Troll Warlord. Troll Warlord's not bad at the end. And hell, Warlock. Warlock's great at the late game. So it's like all late game potential. You got some mid game potential, and your early game potential with Monkey King works. So at every stage of the game, this draft has something. But you don't want something to outshine any point. So you can't have the Alchemist just exist and hand out free Ags to everyone and free freaking jeez, what's that? Moonshards, because you do that with Puck. You don't want to out Puck. You don't want to out late game a Puck. So Alchemist is like kind of the clear pick on that one to kind of take him away. Silencer, same thing that you were saying, right? You don't want that team fight to be disrupted. You don't want that momentum to be disbanded, because a lot of these guys aren't, like, they're not squishy, but they're not tank masters either. They can't just like exist through a Silencer ult. Now the last one, Templar Assassin, is pretty much I want something that Puck can't deal with, and Templar Assassin is really good versus the team in general. It's really, Templar Assassin can blow up a Monkey King, or like dueling a Templar Assassin is pretty hard as a Legion Commander, because yeah, you can potentially kill her if you have the damage, but most likely she's going to have more damage on you and resist a couple of swings. So there's just that potential, and she will win versus Puck. So that's kind of my thoughts. Is there any hero that you think I feel like I left out from the after watching Dak so much?
So I just kind of made a lineup as usual, just something that I would counter or try to counter your team with, something I felt like was okay. I don't know how I feel about some of them, but the team I put together was Vengeful to help with the Monkey King ult. You can just swap him out of it, like it's over. So like the Puck coil isn't as big of a deal because everybody's out of that. So if the Vengeful stays back like she's supposed to, she's able to swap out the Monkey King or swap out somebody to save or something, right? And then the offlaner, I was trying to decide between Centaur and Abaddon. Centaur would help you kind of de-initiate. However, if everybody's Dream Coiled, it doesn't matter how fast you can run. Though I think the ult still lasts through Coil Stun. Anyway.
Well, the ult will still, like, I'm sorry. Well, the Coil Stun will happen, and then the ult will, For which hero again? What do you?
For Centaur. So like if say you get initiated on and Puck Dream Coils all 5 of you, right? And then you Centaur ult to get away, and then the coil snaps on all of you. It just depends on the timing. I feel like the Centaur ult would. I don't know if it would still last through the coil stun that happens or not.
Generally, it won't. If you have the Ags upgrade, I mean, you obviously get the damage reduction of it, but it's a pretty short time that lasts. It just gives you that really fast movement speed, so it seems like it lasts a while. So.
Yeah, and then I like the Abaddon for the duel, and then for the Puck silence and things like that. Also, he's kind of able to just last in Monkey King ult if he has his ult up too. So I liked him. I like the Radiance build on him on offlane. So either him or Centaur. I think I would go with the Abaddon, but I feel like the Centaur would be good because he provides more team fight and just the ability to de-initiate, say, 2 of your heroes get dream coiled and the rest of you are able to get the hell out of dodge, or something like that. So, okay. And then the last 3 I listed were not very popular heroes, actually. I was trying to think of something that would help silence the Puck and keep him kind of locked down. Same with the Warlock. If somebody that's able to get in and out of the fight, throw it out of silence so it disrupts something of the fight, whether it's the Warlock ult or the Monkey King ult or a Puck or something. And I picked Ricky. I felt like a roaming Ricky would be okay, actually, and versus that lineup. Because like I said, the cloud that forces you to either go into like a force staff or kind of just BKB earlier, or just deal with it. And he just disrupts a lot of team fights, and he wouldn't kill until he gets his items a little later. But eventually Ricky does turn into that like 4th core position. Yeah. If he's able to do what he needs to. The other hero I picked was Razor. I feel like Razor versus Puck mid is, I don't know. In my experience, it's been an even trade because Puck can burst you down without having to like single target you, but you're able to also stand on top of Puck. Like, say he's up in the river or something like that, and he orbs away. You're able to, like, if he's not far enough away, you're still able to stand on top of him, and even his, I forget the skill. The disappearing from the map of Pucks. Phase shift, yeah. Even if you phase shift, like, it doesn't break the leash from Razor. So, like, with my experience on both heroes, like, it can be a tough matchup for either one. It just kind of depends on the other person playing the other hero. Mm-hmm. And then I also felt like the Razor kind of the damage kind of helps out with the troll. So if he's ulting and he's hitting you, it doesn't matter how fast he's hitting you because he's not hitting for anything. Or the lesion during the duel, you can just leech the damage from her while she's dueling somebody else. So I felt like that was okay. And then I was trying to decide on a carry. I wanted one that could team fight pretty well. So I was deciding if I wanted Luna. I wasn't sure, or Tiny. Tiny was the one that I picked, and that hero is not picked very often. I feel like he's not really in a great place, and I feel like Monkey King would destroy him anyway. So I'm not sure on what I would pick as a carry. I even looked at Lycan, somebody that can split push away from all of that team fight that you got going on your side. Mm-hmm. But mainly, I would say the Vengeful would be a big deal. The Ricky could be potentially, and then maybe the Abaddon if you're as good as some of the people we've seen in the DAC tournament. But yeah, mainly Vengeful, I would say, because if she just kind of swaps MK out of his ult, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you're still able to do a lot of damage with the Puck and the Warlock dropping his ult and all that stuff. But if you're basing it kind of around the Monkey King ult, like, it could counter it. So yeah, that's kind of what I came up with in the 2 hours that I had.
I think that the Lycan pick is something I would definitely discourage, because if you had Lycan, I have the potential of just jumping in and using the, like, yes, you get it on your own terms where you can be a big wolf and you get the critical, but that's not really that big of a deal uh, with a Legion Commander. Legion Commander can just jump in, I can ult you, make you forcefully hit me, especially if I pick up like a, what is it, Blade Mail. If you pick up that B Mail, you have that potential of just generally, okay, you're going to trade hits, I'm going to win most of the time, even if you're critically me, I'm going to win this duel, and I'm going to get that extra damage. So it's kind of like a mechanism that you can kind of use for these people that are very slippery and zipping around. So that's kind of why I didn't really worry about Storm Spirit, right? Because Storm Spirit's being picked up quite a bit in attack tournaments. And it's like, okay, well, what type of lockdown do I have for this guy? And I was looking around, and I was like, okay, I kind of have Puck. You know, that can kind of be a wash sometimes, because you can get the Silent Staff a little bit earlier and kind of screw over Puck pretty hard. The thing is he can go Yules, and there's that possibility there. You also have the Monkey King stun, which is not the best stun, but it's a kind of instantaneous stun that kind of locks someone down for a few seconds. You have the lucky proc on Troll, but you really have that Legion Commander lockdown, and you have some ways to break down the ability of like a Lincoln's. If he gets a Lincoln's, then you have the Warlock heal, but you don't necessarily have anything else. I still feel like you could probably get a Warlock heal on someone during the time when Monkey King stuns him. So, you know, there's some potential by going into that like split pushing style, but I kind of feel like you can't do it with Illusions because I have Legion Commander, and you can't do it with too many guys that are just going to run away because, once again, I have Legion Commander, right? She's kind of takes that away from the general drafting style. And I understand what you're saying about Abaddon, where Abaddon just keeps people alive, keeps himself alive. You can't really duel him. But that's why I picked Silencer first. So, and that's why if someone picks Abaddon in the first phase, I would totally go with Silencer at the end. Because I don't know if you knew this, but if you global ult and you use a Legion Commander duel, he physically can't pop his ultimate. His ultimate on global doesn't work. It's not a break, but it kind of is a break. So if you ult and then ult, Abaddon just gets killed. And with the new build of like going super greedy, he's not that tanky right now. So if you can have that explosive damage potential, which you do with this lineup, you have Monkey King, you have, Troll can beat the crap out of him, or just Legion Commander can duel him, and then Troll can hit his R anywhere across the map and help her out a bunch. So there's a lot of potential there. I understand where you're going with that. I just feel like if you do get your space, if you are the better players, then having that radiance blocking all of these jumping, blinks, because I'm gonna have a blink on Legion Commander, I'm gonna have a blink on Puck, then that could really hurt me. That could really bone me. But really, the thing about your draft that I think that's the kind of the hardest hitting thing is actually a Centaur, because Centaur can just ult, and if I don't get a perfect coil, then he's away from Warlock, he's away from Monkey King. Like, there's nothing like that slow on Warlock isn't gonna do jack. So
yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting side draft. So wait, would you consider going, because you said you didn't really know your carry? I think you could do Venge, right?
Yeah, you could do Vengeful. You could also do Razor carry and put like a Lena mid or something like that if you want something to help burst through like a duel or something. Yeah. But you could put Vengeful carry as well, honestly. I'm not sure what support you would pick if you put Vengeful carry. I'm sure there's plenty. Maybe like a Disruptor. Or like a Lich or something that helps you kind of de-initiate someone, like if you don't want to team fight into like a Lich ult or something. But I don't think Lich would be very good.
Yeah.
The armor would be nice, but so.
You could Razor, but the thing is I could just go to the jungle with Legion, right? Like, you put Razor up top, and then Legion just goes to the jungle and says, well, I'm just not going to deal with you for a little while, and I'll come out with a little bit slower start, but nothing too bad, right? Whereas if you went Venge, like, I can't ever stop being swapped out of a Wukong ultimate. And
right.
then you're in the battle and you're up front. So you could have like another support helping you out.
Yeah. I like it all. I like the draft. And again, like taking it at face value, that's kind of what I had, and without with the bands that you had. But I think like mid draft, again, it's kind of something that it just depends on the other person that's drafting. Like, I honestly, if I saw MK Legion, like Vengeful would be my first pick, to be honest. But after that, you don't really know where you're going to go with it. So it's just a matter. It just depends on like game to game, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not going to think of these off the top of my head. Some people won't, like the Razor or something like that, you know, something that, or the Ricky that disrupts or something. So I feel like your draft is really solid. Like,
oh, thanks. Actually, I think Ricky was probably your best suggestion, man. That is like I don't know what I would do about that.
Because I mean he's got the AoE silence stuff. Like I said, forces you to like Force Staff or Yules or BKB, and then it kind of screws over Legion and her duel with the mischance. And then, like I said, there's just, you know, a ton of disruption that he can, and chaos that he can cause. So I liked that pickup. I like that one in Vengeful. But.
Well, plus you can use your ult to kind of ignore the big area. You can do damage, but ignore getting focused in that area. So yeah, that's an interesting pick. I hope I see something like that in the finals tonight. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. All right, well, let's move on to items, because that kind of like hopefully will bring some sense to where I'm going with this draft and like how it needs to happen and what needs to feel from this area. So there's kind of two ways to build Monkey King, and I've kind of experienced both. I kind of do the latter more than the former, but the former is generally a better build a lot of times. I feel like the way that the pros are playing it is kind of the first way, and the second way is kind of the way that I've been playing it, so bear with me. So the first way is going PMS and going into tangos. And if you do that, the potential of just being able to harass people out, you have a lot of potential of just existing in lane. You don't really use your mana a whole heck of a lot. You go in on jumps to harass people out, and you kind of use the ability of getting shrines to get your mana back and being that roaming potential and kind of roaming at the right times when people are lower or people are going to perceivably get lower because of hard lanes and things like that, so that you can gain your health and mana back from there. There's a lot of ways that you can, then you kind of go from there. You go Oov, or, you know, Orb of Venom. You go into your Boots, your Blightstone, Phase, Echo, Basher, Deso, Vanguard, Abyssal Blade. So you go into that build. You basically want to pick up that early Blightstone after Boots, because you want to be able to chase people down and have those heavy dives, especially with like Legion Commander being able to heal you out of stuns. And Blights just gives you that extra value of being able to knock people, kind of force them out in some ways. A lot of people have been kind of doing their own takes on Monkey King after that point, after you get Blight and Phase. There's a lot of times where people will go into going into using the Blight to go into an eventual medallion and getting that upgraded once again into the, oh gosh, what's that called?
The
not
Solar
medallion,
Crest?
Solar Crest, thank you.
Yeah.
So Solar Crest, you go into Solar Crest, into that view, and that's actually a good view for this team, because you can give Troll Warlord a Solar Crest and kind of give them that extra tankiness that kind of he deserves. Thing is, though, you're kind of a little bit slower if you go that way for the Basher, and just having a Basher or an Echo is incredibly useful on all of the illusions. Echo just helps you exist and kind of transfer over into more of that carry. So if you go into a puck where that's not like a carry type position, then it's nice to have the background of going into the Echo. But sometimes I would even skip Echo in some rare cases, because you do have at least the Legion Commander and the puck. And then the second way that I play, for me personally, is I go Orb of Venom in the very beginning, some extra regen, and a smoke. And if you can get that, and you generally like stay at bottom and hit level 2, where you you pool and you get the experience, and you make sure that your support generally gives you the availability of hitting level 2 pretty early, and then rotating from there, it's a little bit stronger. If you have the availability to push people out, then their lanes aren't very well built to begin with, and there's a problem at that point. So if you are facing like really strong lanes, which a lot of times I do in my level of play or in pubs, the PMS just doesn't have enough value when you have incredibly strong laning potential. So just grab the potential of kind of harassing the mid, force out the weaker areas that you can take advantage of the draft with it, and use the smoke to hopefully get a kill in the beginning. If you have a setup, like there's a lot of times where I was thinking, you know, maybe you can't get the Warlock, and maybe they have like an Enigma on the other team, and you have to pick up like a Rubik or something to kind of counteract that potential. Because Rubik, I mean, you can pull people further into Wukong Ultimate, you can steal a lot of important spells. Sometimes it's very important to have him just exist in a match. So if you're gonna kind of switch that out, then having a Rubik kind of is better to play on my side of the thing, because then you have that easy level 1 stun to set you up with a smoke, and if you can get the last hit on a Monkey King, it's actually better to do this build, because you have Ove and then you have Boots, and having that combination in the very beginning just forces people out of lanes, no matter where you are. So you can really punish mid, you can really punish offlane, wherever you're wanting to go to get the most potential. And then, so you get the Boots, you get Phase, actually, before you even get Blight, because you kind of skyrocket from there. And you get that Phase, you get that Blight, and then if there's no Invis heroes, and this is important, if there's no Invis heroes, and you have a support that can generally support you, that like, support that can support you, jeez, I'm dumb. But the support that can generally be completely warding and like have no problem with buying smokes and things like that for you, then going and earn is actually incredibly useful on the hero. But if there's Invis or if there's other reasons for you to have less slots, then going earn is not useful on the hero, and it generally happens most every game. It's hard to have a Monkey King useful in that way, because a lot of times he at least has to buy some wards. But if you can be really, really greedy, earn is actually the way to go, because you kind of give a potential of being able to heal once again, and if you are not going to have a mech on your team, you should at least have an earn. So once you go earn, potentially, then go into Echo, and then I kind of switch between Basher and Vanguard. If you don't have PMS, it's kind of easier to get like some of the pieces for Vanguard at least first. If not, just like finish up a Vanguard and then go Basher. If you can exist and you play really well at jumping around in general, picking up the Basher early, its value is incredible. So depends on how you feel and how you're going with that lineup. I would highly suggest Vanguard in most cases when you're at least learning in the beginning, and then going into Abyssal Blade. Generally, I skip Deso unless that's very at the end of the game and no one else has picked it up. But most of the time, someone else has picked it up, and there's no real point. Yeah. So then, Legion Commander. You go simple Legion Commander build, Phase, Blink, Blade Mail, and then probably BKB, Deso, AC. Very simple. The thing that every Legion Commander goes. You can go into Shadow Blade after Blink, kind of give yourself another terms of initiation or escape, if it's good and necessary. A lot of times, I feel like you kind of need to exist when you are there, so getting the Blade Mail and the BKB is generally a better bet in this type of lineup. Warlock. Warlock is going to be your main warder. So a lot of times you're going to want to go Boots, you're going to want to work on wards in general and try to get a lot of different things going. Monkey King can help you out so that you can get your Midas. And then you get the Midas. Once you get Midas, if you're not going earn on Monkey King, you have to pick up the earn on Warlock. Giving yourself, like once again, you have to have enough heals to exist after you team wipe, if you're all at like 5%. So earn's a good way to help that out. Then you go Mana Boots, Force, and Glimmer. you actually don't want to go for the classic Warlock build because you have all of this other late game potential. And if you do get to ultra late game, he can still build that up eventually. He needs to be able to save people, though, in the right scenario. Then you go into Troll Warlord. Troll Warlord, I've had kind of like a mixed view on some items on what you do. But generally I go Phase, Aquila, Dragonlance, Sange and Yasha, BKB, and Hurricane Pike. Gives you a lot of potential of living, a lot of damage out in the beginning, just gotta let you exist, lets you be, and you push down towers by yourself for a while, unless you need to group up for a team fight, and all those items still work really well in team fights, giving you plenty of movement speed and potential in general. So, kind of to counter your Razor idea there, Kimbrell, get that quick move speed. And then if you can, there's some people who go Shadow Blade. I don't like it in this. Once again, you don't want that potential of leaving the area because you are the target focus. You want people to jump you, and then your team to counter jump them. So yeah, it's not the way to go. BKB is much stronger. Then I'd go generally crit most often than not, and you can go Butterfly as a maybe. But it really depends on the game at that point. Puck. Classic Puck, you go Bottle, Treads, Blink, and I encourage people in this particular draft not to go Veil. Veil doesn't have a lot of opportunity for the rest of your team, so you don't really want to pick it up. It's better to go Yules or even Hand of Midas at this point. Hand of Midas is very strong right now, getting you up to the talents that you need. If you can get that 420 quicker, oh man, it's so great. So getting that potential is what I would hope for. And then it kind of varies from there, but I strongly suggest getting either Ags or Dagon. If you can get Ags and you can keep the availability of denying the popular BKB heroes, getting them stunned still by using your ultimate, it's pretty incredible, and it lasts longer. So keeping people longer in the Wukong is always great. And then Dagon, obviously Legion Commander blinks in. If you Dagon a guy that's Legion Commander, great easy value, and gets her a lot more damage. So other than that, I wouldn't go anything else. Maybe Lincolns or Sheep in some cases. Sheep's more of an ultra late game, but Lincolns is okay sometimes, especially if you're facing the Legion Commander. But if you're facing the Legion Commander, I don't know why you're running this draft. Yeah, so that's kind of the items. What do you think, Kimbrell? You got any pointers?
I like all of the items. I was going to touch on the Monkey King Basher early. Like, that's something I've seen. I don't know if it was EG. I feel like it was EG. I feel like it's everybody that's picking the Basher up early. It seems really strong because your ult's just bashing people as they're trying to run out. And so I feel like that item first is always like very, very important. And then with the Troll Warlord, I like the Sange and Yasha. I feel like it's an item that's not valued as much as at least as it used to be, but I really like it, especially on that hero because the movement speed and the slow and all that stuff for the main, I guess, whatever. But yeah, I really like it. Would you consider like a Shiva's on the Puck at all? Because I feel like
yeah, I know that's a popular style, but it's, I don't know. I feel like you're going to win the right-click game. Like, yeah, if they have a bunch of right-click, too, and they're trying to out-right-click you, then sure, Chivas works. But you got Monkey King, Troll, and Legion Commander. If you're not out-right-clicking them, there's a serious problem in that area. And if they're drafting to try to out-right-click you, then yeah, you'd go that, but they're probably not going to.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the Legion, I feel like Deso is almost a go-to, like every game. It's the Blade Melt Deso AC, like you said. It's very straightforward. It's almost every game with Legion, to be honest. So I feel like on Monkey King, the casual Blight is great, but like you mentioned, like you probably wouldn't go Deso. So I'm trying to think of another item. I've seen some people, I don't know about recently, but I've seen people go like a Diffusal or something on Monkey King. But after the Basher, I'm not sure what you would go right after the other, because I've seen the Basher Deso or vice versa. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the items.
I think that once you have that point, it's pretty hard to generally. I mean, it's conjecture at that point, right? Because you're so far into the game, you can't predict every scenario kind of ending up at that point. It's the Deso and Basher is just crazy good to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's understandable. I I don't really, and I really like Ags on Puck. I want to like restate that one more time. Like, oh my god, it's so good in this draft. Try it out. It's awesome. By the way, young terms, generally, someone asked me a question. He said, "How far into the episode?" We're like 50 minutes in, bud. So, stick around. Hopefully, you'll enjoy. We are now going into the pro draft now. The pro draft breakdown. So, we go into a little bit of a monologue here. I'm sorry, Kimbrell. I feel like I've been talking this whole time.
No, that's okay.
All right, so the game that I decided to choose, I want to see if you can. It was a game last night. What do you think? Which one do you think I chose?
Oh man, I don't know. I didn't get to watch very many games last night. I watched the EG newbie game 1, and I was at a friend's house, and fiance was like, "Can you please get off your phone?" I was like, USA though, right? Like EG, I gotta watch them. She's like, "Please." I'm like, "All right, fine." And then I checked back in, and it was like 40 minutes into game 2. I'm like, oh, they'll pull this off. They'll got this. And then I checked later, and they lost, and I'm just so pissed. I was like, come on. But I didn't watch very many games last night. I ended up watching a movie over at my friend's house.
Okay.
So, no, I probably don't have any idea. I was planning on going back and watching some of them, though.
Okay. I'll let you off the hook.
Okay.
So we're gonna go IG. It's the OG IG game 1. It is incredible. Like the way that they draft that game, I highly suggest anyone who's trying to become a captain watch that game because there is a clear ideology that they go through on each hero. So first off, kind of to get you guys into the idea of what's happening here, we got OG. They pick up. Okay. We got. All right. So they ban out Magnus. That's their first ban. They ban out the Magnus, and it makes a lot of sense. They don't want to deal with Magnus. Like I said before, he's a lot of that. He just has so much potential right now. He has that AoE team fight. He has the potential of being really good with melee cores. And as people have been watching this in this tournament, Burning's Lifestealer is something to be feared, definitely. So you want to kind of like lessen his impact on what he does. So they ban out the Magnus. Invictus goes into banning out the Enigma. They ban out the Enigma because obviously OG's been running Enigma and Naga, and they set up the Enigma by just like Nagaing everyone together. It's like, okay, we're just gonna walk up and ult. Super easy, great combo that has existed for a long time. I'm kind of happy to see it come out again, honestly. So
they were first picking the Enigma for a little bit. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're
Weren't they? There was a couple games where they first picked the Enigma, and I was like kind of shocked by it because they would pick up like a Rubik, the other team would, or something like that. I don't know. There were a few games where I saw them just like first or second pick the Enigma, which is kind of crazy. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Go on.
No, it's a good point because like they value that hero so much that they first pick it in the first phase, and like there's still a lot of good heroes if you're gonna first phase it to counteract it. There's Venge, there's Rubik, there's a lot of potential for them to stop that. So it makes a lot of sense. They're like, okay, we just don't want to deal with it. We know how good that they've been playing it. Let's just ban it out. Then they go back to OG. They ban out the Earth Spirit. They have a very good Earth Spirit player on IG, and it makes a lot of sense. But they also have the potential, once again, Burning going in with Lifestealer. They're banning out these heroes to say, okay, we know that they're going to pick up Lifestealer because they do it every game like first phase. So we know this. We're going to take out the 2 best heroes that work with it. Makes a lot of sense. Then they go into the IG side. They ban Monkey King. Monkey King's an obvious ban. He's good versus Lifestealer. He has a lot of potential in the way that they've been playing, and OG's rock with him in general. Like any team's really strong with him. So great ban to get out of the way. So then You got OG, they pick up Visage. They got that Visage play. Fly's been playing it constantly this tournament. A lot of potential with what he does with it, and it's not revealing anything about the draft, which is that's what's important about this game, is that they do the same support over and over. So if they feel comfortable with it and they feel like that they can take on a lot of things, they have that Visage picked up, and it doesn't reveal anything about the draft. Then they go Lifestealer Tinker. A common idea for Invictus Gaming is going Lifestealer Tinker. The idea is that you get Lifestealer there's a lot of ways to pull him into the game. There's a lot of delivery mechanisms. Tinker just is a great team fighter, and they generally play Tinker as a way to put down a lot of marches behind Burning, so that they say, okay, if you dive Burning, which he's going to exist for a little while because he's a freaking Lifestealer, then you're going to take like 2 march damage on your hero, and it's hard to counteract that. So what's the best way to counter that? What's the best way to counter having that potential of diving and taking a lot of damage? Alchemist. They pick up that Alchemist to deal with it. Now, even though it's weak versus Lifestealer, Alchemist is a great hero versus Tinker and has a lot of potential in mid. Gains a lot of farm and has a lot of general output. And this is the genius part. They grab the Alchemist. Not only does Alchemist work later on in the draft and really helps the rest of the team, he helps Visage immensely by being able to gift Ags to Visage. One of the best Ags carriers in the game. Gives him another unit. Just a lot of value out of that. So then we go back to the banning phase. We got Slardar and Centaur being banned out on OG. 2 very strong initiating heroes. Obviously, very good with Lifestealer. Take that away from him. And you've picked the Alchemist, so you can't deal with the extra minus armor that Slardar has, because Slardar Lifestealer would just eat him alive. Makes a bunch of sense. Then Invictus Gaming answers with Juggernaut and Ursa. You can't go versus 1v1. Lifestealer can 1v1 pretty much anyone in the game except Ursa. And they themselves, IG, really value Jug and Lifestealer. So they say, okay, we're not going to have them have early BKBs. We're going to use our spell damage and our potential to give Lifestealer the best game that we possibly can in the beginning, and then move from there. Then we're going into the picks for the second phase, and this is where true genius comes out. So we got Nyx being picked up. Nyx is great with Lifestealer, has that great potential to come in and deliver the Lifestealer. So they think, alright, we got their delivery mechanism, we got this stun, this potential to blow up Alchemist with all spell damage with Nyx and Tinker. Then they answer with Venge, and Venge can be a support at this point, so they think that they have Venge Visage as their supports. Once again, a very good Aghanims carrier. And I'll get more into that later by telling you about the game. But an incredible game to have this Venge in later in point. Having this Venge gives them the ability to carry, so they're kind of like thinking about what to do. So Invictus Gaming goes into Crystal Maiden. And Crystal Maiden's really strong, obviously right now has a potential of just existing for having that general mana that kind of everyone needs at this point in gaming at this type of meta where spellcasting is very important. But not only that, she has a lot of AoE damage potential that is very hurtful to the birds. If you use her ultimate, yeah, the birds can tank a lot if they're sitting next to Visage. But a lot of times it's a lot of AoE damage on top of AoE damage. The armor only lasts for so much that Visage has, the Gravekeeper's Cloak. So with March and the Crystal Maiden ult and Crystal Maiden Nova Blast really takes care of the Visage creatures. Then they answer with Clock on OG. And Clock is a great counter to Crystal Maiden and Tinker and Nyx. Kind of just shuts them all down. Says, okay, we're going to deal with Lifestealer, but we're going to deal with the other heroes that make him work instead of dealing with him in general. And once again, got to keep reiterating this because it's such a crucial part of the draft. another incredible hero to gift an Ags to. Clockwork with an Ags is something that you want to have, but a lot of times you need other items to beef them up, especially like going for blade mail and things like that. He has to have. So great potential there. The draft's pretty much decided. People think that they know what's going on. We get OG banning out. OG bans out the Legion Commander. Legion Commander, Lifestealer, Tinker is a combo that they've been using this whole time. So they've done their homework. They understand what's going on here. They don't want another type of delivery mechanism. And they say, okay, Nyx Assassin can be a support, so we're going to take that out of the reins here. Invictus answer with going into, they don't want to deal with a Kunkka. And they don't want to have Kunkka because, I mean, Lifestealer works versus him, but Tinker, Nyx, and Crystal Maiden are all very weak versus Kunkka. Plus, they don't want to deal with Rum Buff on Alchemist, because Rum Buffed Alchemist is stupid, and he just exists and heals through everything and like doesn't take any damage. So, really smart drafting from this point. Incredibly, like, people like just the counters upon counters and playing within their minds is incredible. They end this game by having OG pick up Night Stalker. Night Stalker is an incredible pick, kills the Tinker potential of getting away if he gets the Ags, which he's going to eventually with having an Alchemist once again, and has the potential to kill the Nyx with his ability of generally going down the path of getting a gem, and kind of cancels that out, especially kills Crystal Maiden, because Crystal Maiden wants to hide in the trees and then use her ultimate. So just, once again, they're just like taking out these three heroes that they can see constantly, and making sure that they work together with the Alchemist. And then the last thing Invictus picks is a Batrider. And it is an incredible pick, because not only do they have another delivery mechanism, now they can forcefully run a 2-1-2 and push out the lane that is it's going to be hard to have a Visage and a Night Stalker stand up to the potential of a Batrider and a Nyx. There's a lot of survivability there, a lot of damage being able to be dealt, so it kind of like pushes them in that scenario, and they actually do really well in the beginning of the game. IG like just tears through them, does a really good job. There's kind of back and forth. OG eventually get Ags on everyone though, and it's really funny. Like the Clockwork Ags like helps them out so much to be able to get picks. Night Stalker Ags, Visage Ags, all helps them out. They give it to Venge, and Venge is able to swap constantly, like every 10 seconds or something stupid like that with her Ags. So they just have Alchemist hit the barracks, and like, yeah, they have a Lifestealer and all these ways to lock him down with like Batrider and things like that, but he just swaps them out every 10 seconds. It is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, you want to talk about like someone living forever, it's Alchemist with a Venge Ags. Incredible. So that's the thing about drafting, is not only finding the point of countering the entire team, which they did, like I described the entire time. They were countering every single step of the way, some type of hero, some type of format, but they made it coherently together. OG made it coherently together to all work together to have a style of, okay, these guys all super benefit from our main idea of having an Alchemist farming and being able to give away Ags. Same thing with Invictus though. I mean, look at their draft. They have two ways to deliver a Lifestealer that are incredibly good at starting it out. They have this Crystal Maiden that kind of guarantees them to have this potential early game, kind of locks down some of these supports that they have in general, and they got a Tinker. Like, Tinker is a crazy good hero right now. Yes, they had a lot of counters for him, but they don't play Tinker like the normal Tinker, so they were kind of using that as a strategy to move around what they normally thought would happen. And this is kind of what I wanted to point out today, is that when you're in this situation, like, don't necessarily say this is what the hero does and this is what the hero has to do, because Invictus kind of played around that idea and kind of threw OG for a loop in that scenario. But then OG did the exact same thing and gave Venge the swap material because like no one knew that was coming either. So just incredible play, and I highly suggest you watch that game, especially you, Kimbrell. Amazing game.
Yeah, I'm watching the draft right now. Like as you've been talking, I've had the draft on mute. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's kind of why I think everybody sees it's very known OG is one of the best, if not the best, LAN teams. They go to these LANs and they're able to kind of know. I mean, like everybody else, you kind of know what the other team's going to pick, what their signature heroes are, et cetera, et cetera. And Burning's Lifestealer, everyone knows, that hero that person on that hero is just like, it's godly. Like there's just the amount of building damage that hero does on Burning, and just that hero in general on him is great. But like you said, they went into this kind of knowing what they were looking for. They knew they were going to pick either first or second pick the Lifestealer, and I don't know. I really like it. The pick I didn't understand a ton was the Nyx. Maybe it was to kind of deal with the Alchemist. I'm not really sure, but that's the one hero that I was kind of iffy on watching the draft and while you talked about it. And then the Batrider pick is also like, I get what you're saying about the laning wise, absolutely. Like that's a good lane. But when you're talking like team fights, you still have the Vengeful that can swap out the bat or the hero. You have the Clockwork that can disrupt the pool or anything like that. And then the Night Stalker can also do decently against like a Batrider pulling somebody away from a fight. So that pick, I get it for laning wise, but beyond that, I just didn't quite fully, I guess, get it. And maybe you can explain that to me. But overall, I mean, the draft looks like it was really fun. I'm actually excited to watch this game.
Oh, it's great.
Because OG, like, they have what picks are meta on their team right now, right? Like Alchemist is, I guess, and then Vengeful, right? But Visage, you don't see a whole lot of people playing it besides Fly. Clockwork, a lot of people have been saying that hero's dead. I mean, I know it's great against Tinker, but still. And then in Night Stalker, I mean, that hero's great, especially during the coddle phase that people are going through. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, it just feels. I really like their draft. It seems like a lot of fun, and a lot of roaming and ganking potential, obviously.
So it's a lot of potential, and I mean, it's mostly to counter Tinker. But the idea here for Nyx, whenever I pick up Nyx to counter Alchemist, you can have Acid Spray lays down, and you always go Radiance on him. So it's a guaranteed stun automatically to set you up with a Nyx by having a Spike Carapace. Just Spike Carapace, set him up. He also has a bunch of magic damage, but he doesn't have enough to break through what Alchemist is. So you have to have something else that offers even more magic damage. And who else do they have? They have Tinker. So having the true damage with the laser and having the ability to just blow people up from a range is pretty deadly. And I mean, they're both cores, so they're taking out they were trying to answer the Alch in the first 3 picks, right?
That makes sense. I mean, I knew, like I said, I knew it was something for the Alch, and I knew the Spike Carapace. Obviously, that sets your stun up. I just wasn't sure, like, how exactly that directly counters him. But then, like you said, the burst damage from Tinker makes sense. So it kind of, like you said, it just sets him up. And if the Lifestealer is there, like if you're Lifestealer bombing with the Nyx and you set up the Alch stun and everything like that, you're able to burst him down pretty quick with those 3 heroes. Yep. So that makes sense.
Yep. And
it looks like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it is. And that's the thing is like about their draft is it's really cool that Invictus went. I mean, their draft almost worked, and it was a pretty ingenious draft. But they picked their first 3 cores first. Like, holy crap, that is some balls right there to pick. Your first 3 picks are all your cores, like pretty much guaranteed too. Like, yeah, you could have Nyx as a support, but That's not likely. I don't know.
Right.
Pretty crazy.
I remember, I kind of recalling PPD talking during one of the drafts. I don't remember what game, but it might have been MP. I'm not sure. One of the MP games. But he was talking about how he hates that some teams pick supports last, right? And he kind of went into detail about it. He said, like, he's talked about how, I'm guilty of doing the same thing. But however, when you pick the support last, like, no one's really, there's not a whole lot of supports where you pick them and everyone's like, oh shit, like we have no way to counter that. Like, the Bat Rider last pick was kind of, I don't know. Again, that's the other pick that I didn't fully understand because of the amount of potential OG had to deal with Lasso. But outside of the lane, yeah, that's the only other pick I didn't fully understand, I guess.
Yeah. The thing is, though, is if I feel like they knew that Venge was going to be a carry, the way that they picked that bat, and if you know that that's going to be the carry, then you just lasso her. Because that's a good pick then. So that's probably where they were going, and they were going to go into, and that's like the genius part about this draft is like there's so many levels of understanding each other, and you could see they've done their homework on each other. So it's just, that's my favorite type of Dota, for sure.
For sure. I really like I don't know, I really like where Vengeful Spirit's at right now. Third or second pick, I could pick her like every game because as silly as it sounds, like I guess it doesn't sound silly. The potential she has to either support or carry, like there's other heroes that do the same thing. Where if you pick them second or third, I kind of went in like a big long, I'm pretty sure like Gone with Wind type of like length of posts about this on our Discord. But I absolutely love picking a hero like Vengeful that can do both roles, second or third pick, because it opens up your last pick for whatever, for anything. So like the Night Stalker, that last pick, that's your last pick support. That actually, where you're like, oh shit, like that also counters our Tinker and our Crystal Maiden and etc. So I don't know. I love that hero being picked third or second or third. Like, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good point. The hero has a lot of. There's a reason why versatility is an important thing in Dota, and the element of surprise is always the best thing in any strategy. So, makes a lot of sense. All right, so I guess we should probably wrap this up. We're going a little bit over. That's okay. Rate our beers. What do you think about your beer today, bud?
Okay, so taste-wise, I would give it like a 4, right? It's pretty damn good. Yeah. But I just opened another one, and for some reason, they have all spewed out. Like I got the top off, and it just shoots out. I don't know why, and it's irritating. So it's like losing a thunderclap there. That's like I just opened one, and it just all over my hand and everything. I had to put it down. It's like leaking on the floor. It's great.
Nice.
But taste-wise, I would give it like a 4. It was pretty good.
Nice.
How about yours?
I'm actually going to kind of go back. Like I don't generally like having a high alcohol beer. I like to just sit back and have fun with the beer. And this is good beer for that. I think I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 though, because I think the Torvash just like spoiled me last week, man. Like this is good and all, but man, after last week, I'm just like, I need something more at this point. And maybe I just had a really good week or something. Like that was just like really good for that week. But it's good if you're going for that light, simple beer. Foam Top's pretty decent, but get the Torvash. I feel like that's where your money's at. Like, oh man, that was super tasty. I should have changed mine to 5 last week because it lessened my opinion of beers now. So, yeah. All right. So that's what we got about our beers. Anything else you want to add for today, Kimbrell?
No.
Nope.
Sorry. I'm still looking to make sure it's not spewing anymore.
It's all good.
No, I don't think so. It was fun. I really want to watch this game, so I didn't get to watch very many of them yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, real quick, Mr. Blue sent a message while we were talking, and he says, "Flubb going for Monkey King cosplay with that beard." And I'll tell you what, Mr. Blue, if I make it to TI this year, which I think I will, not positive, cross my fingers, I will try to do a cosplay Monkey King. Now it might be pretty crappy cosplay, it might be like $2 cosplay, but I will cosplay Monkey King for you. So, you know, I try to do that stuff for you guys, and let me know if there's anything, if you guys want to help me out with that. You know what, I'm going to try to talk to Toffees, try to do a Patreon on, I will dress up as this hero if I go. So, yeah. Let's close out the show. We have to sometime, right? It's too much fun, but we got to close out sometime. All right, to help us out, you can subscribe to any of our videos. You can find our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Toffees_Dota2. You can go to our YouTube channel, 5 Gaming, for any of our shows. You can also go to any of our podcasts. You can listen to any of them instead of in VOD format if you prefer to listen to something while you're working, or anything like that. Sometimes audio is just better to have instead of just the visual, audio visual to experience. You can find us at our Stitcher, iTunes, or SoundCloud. Man, I'm just screwing it all up. You can give to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/Toffees. If you want to, you can ask any questions. You can ask me, Toffees, or Kimbrell at our following Twitter pages. You can follow Toffees at ToffeesTV. You can follow me at FlubbDota. And you can follow Kimbrell at skimbrell_, with a little tail at the end. So if you guys have any casting needs, anything in general that you guys want me to do or want to talk to me about, you can send me an email at my email account, crazyflubb@gmail.com. Well, thanks for sitting down and having a brew with us today, and we will catch you guys next week. See you later.
Bye, everyone.